Hello, I'm John Adams, editor of Digital Photo, and welcome to this video lesson which is about more advanced sky replacement. Now hopefully you've seen the other video on this CD which is about basic sky replacement, where we effectively just select the sky, punch a hole in it and put a new one underneath and blur the edge between the old foreground and the new sky. Now that's all well and good, but you really can't do it when you've got a skyline as complicated as this one. We've got trees, we've got church spires, we've got small aerials, we've got all kinds of things going on, and we're simply not going to get an effective selection around all these things to get a nice sky replacement in the same way. So instead, what we need to do is be a bit smarter and use some blending modes and layer masking or erasing techniques to get a decent job done. Here's how you do it. Now this shot's on the CD, it's called bruges.jpg, and of course we need a new sky because it's a bit bland and a bit dull. So we're going to pull in a new sky to replace this existing one. So we're going to use the same skies we did in the other tutorial. So if we go to File and Open, and you find the sky image again, we'll open that up. What we're going to do is the same kind of thing. We're going to select all the sky, Control and A to select the whole thing, Control and C to copy it, Control and W to close it down, then Control and V to paste it into the new document. Now we need to open up our Layers palette, so go to Window and choose Layers. And then to make it show through, we're going to choose the Hard Light Blending mode. So click where it says Normal, and you've got a long list of various things. Choose Hard Light. And you can see there, the sky shows through the entire image. Now, if that doesn't give the best result, just look at the sky area and see how it looks. If that doesn't look good, then try some other blending modes. You can try multiply, that often works quite well, or you can try also overlay, that sometimes works okay. It depends how light and how dark the pixels are of both the existing sky and the one you're using for the replacement. So I can't say which one is going to be the best one for different images, but I know for this particular image and this sky, the hard light gives us the best result. So we'll choose hard light, and then what we need to do is create a layer mask, because obviously all of this sky area down here, we don't want that appearing in the image, so we need to mask out some of the sky that is not going to be featured. So to set up a layer mask in Photoshop, simply click on this icon here, and you get a layer mask attached to the layer. If you're using elements, you can't do that, but all you have to do is use the eraser in exactly the same way as I'm going to use the black paintbrush on the layer mask. So we'll just move that down out the way. Let's just close it down a bit so we can still see it, but have it a bit smaller in the frame. What we're going to do is start down in the bottom half of the picture. We're going to pick up a paintbrush, and we're going to make sure that black is our foreground colour. If it's not, it should be, but if it's not, hit D on the keyboard and then hit X, and you'll get black coming up as the foreground colour. Now we need a fairly large brush, so we can just adjust that using the square brackets keys. Something like that should do to start with, about 600 pixels or so. What we're going to do is be painting into this layer mask. So to make sure the layer mask itself is active, just click on it. If you clicked on the layer, you'll see the rectangle appear around that. Make sure you're on the mask instead. Once you're on there, you just paint black into it. And you can see there that all that dodgy sky that's showing through is now disappearing. Now up in the options bar, my opacity is set to 100% and so is the flow rate for the brush. That's what you want. And we're just painting away and the easier parts of the image just to get rid of those bits. And you'll see in the layer mask itself we just get pure black showing through, and that means that the sky area will not be revealed on this part of the image. So we just go through there. Now obviously this is going to get a bit more detailed and a bit more complicated as we move up. So what we're going to do now, we'll zoom in a touch. Let's just start over on the right hand side of the image. Move that layers palette out the way a bit. We're going to use a smaller brush now, of course. Just bring it down in size, still 100%, and we can work a bit closer to the edge. That's the kind of thing. And we can get at all those areas quite easily using a full pelt brush. That's it, and then just hold down the spacebar to scroll around. That's all going fine, but what happens when we get to the more detail areas? Well, that's when we have to use a bit of trickery and a bit of blending. And what we're going to do is reduce the opacity of the brush down to sort of 50%, 40-50%, something like that. And we'll make the brush obviously a bit smaller as well using the left square bracket key. And then we just start to blend it. So we're just adjusting brush size all the time and just working into these chimney stacks and spires and aerials and bits and pieces, just get a decent blend. It doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to look accurate. Some of the subtlety of imaging means not doing things precisely correct. There may be a bit of sky left over, but as long as it doesn't look like there's a bit of sky left over, you're okay. So we'll just work away with that. That's the kind of thing. And that's all you have to do all the way along the image. Just blend in areas. You can see the sky looks a bit sky-like in that area there. Let's just move in on that particular spire. And we'll just get our brush again. Make that a bit smaller still. This will take a little bit of effort just to bring the, get rid of the traces of sky. That's the kind of thing. But you can see it's just a question of blending in using a low opacity brush. If you need to go lower still, that's fine. Just drop the opacity a bit more on the brush. And then we can just blend in these kind of areas to make it look real. That's what you're trying to do. Just make it look like it was meant to be. And these awkward areas here, they'll be okay. It's just a question of spending a little bit of time to get it right. So hopefully you can see what goes on there. It's just a manual job, very manual intensive job, but it means you just need to work away bit by bit. Do it slowly, don't try and rush it, and just blend in the sky with the foreground area. Now I've gone wrong there, and you can see that doesn't look too good. But what I can do is actually use a white brush to restore that. If I hit X on the keyboard, you can see hitting X swaps the foreground and background colours over. By painting white into that area, I go back to where I was before. Now with elements, you'll be using an eraser instead of the black brush. So you have to be a bit careful, and instead of using the white brush, simply hit Ctrl and Z to undo the change you've made. And you can do exactly the same thing using elements. Right, well, so I'll work away and finish off this skyline and rejoin you when I've got over to the other side of the picture. There we go, just working away at these areas here now, just over to the right of the picture. Now this is going to start getting quite difficult. So because the sky is very dark here, any changes we make, they're going to show up quite a lot. Even with an opacity here of 50%, you can see that as soon as we stray into the sky area, it looks horrible. We get these ugly streaks coming through. So what we're going to do is cheat it a bit more. Instead of trying to blend it all in subtly like this, what we're going to do is lighten the entire sky. Now if you just take opacity right down to sort of 10-15%, something like that, what we're going to do is use a large brush and just brighten this area of sky instead. We'll go to full screen so we know exactly what we're doing. Then with our brush we're just going to make sure black's selected and just sweep across these areas. You can see there it's just lightening that whole zone of sky. That's the sort of thing. And it's blending in quite naturally. Only we know that sky was dark originally. Just bringing it through. That's okay there. And that's actually blending in quite nicely. And that's much easier. It's a much easier kind of cheat or trick to do it that way than it is to try and laboriously blend through and cut out each of these particular areas. And that looks pretty natural. The only bit I need to work on, I can see there, is the roof here of this part. So let's just get that into position. Pick our brush. Nice small brush, just hitting that square brackets key. We just work on these roof areas here and just bring those back through. Now I've done this quite quickly. There's probably a few details here and there. It's always worth kind of tracking along with the scrolling along the sky, or the sky line rather, just to see where you can make any improvements and spend sort of 5 or 10 minutes just perfecting the job. But if we come back out to full screen, that's not bad at all. You can see there, if we switch it off, that's a big improvement to the image than the original bland and pale and wan sky that was there. So we'll switch that back on. That's more like it. A sky with plenty of drama that's far more attractive than the rather dull original. So there you go. That's how you can manually blend in more complex sky replacements. A lot more labour intensive than the other one, but pretty good fun. So give that a go if you've got complicated skylines with spires or trees or other awkward shapes in. Try blending it through with a layer mask or with the eraser in Elements. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.